Good afternoon, everybody. I would like to ask everybody to use some Zoom etiquette today and turn off your microphones for those except for the panelists. We're going to start in a minute. I would like to invite Chancellor Jeremy Hefner to start us off with a few opening remarks.
Thank you. Thank you, Corrine, and welcome everyone. We have a very large participation, over 1,100 participants already. So I'm so glad you could join us on this pretty important topic that we're going to share with you today. There's been tremendous work done to think about how do we reopen the campus now that both Governor Polis and Mayor Hancock have indicated that we're moving into a safer at-home environment. Obviously, we're all paramountly concerned about the health and safety of all of us. We're concerned about the impact that the virus has had, is having, and will continue to have. And so there has been tremendous amount of work to think through how do we reopen this campus as early in the coming weeks and then throughout the summer. And you'll hear and learn so much great detail about that. I am very happy to let you know that Provost Lengsfeld and Senior Vice Chancellor Brunelli have been leading teams working across different sectors to really come up with the right approach on this. And I do believe that it is very much best in class in many respects, at least at the moment, and what we know about it. So I will just take also this opportunity to thank so many of you who have nominated individuals for the network of task force that we have for the university planning that needs to happen. We should all take great comfort in the fact that we're in a good position today. Enrollments in spring and enrollments in summer are holding strong for us. And even the enrollments for the fall for the undergraduate, I am very pleased to share with you that Todd Reinhardt and the Division of Undergraduate Admissions hit their target of over 1,400 students. We're very happy about that. And I think even Todd and I are a bit astonished given all the circumstances that are there. But that's due to the hard work of not just the Division of Undergraduate Admissions, but the work of so many people who have been in front of students and parents to help them tell the story about the University of Denver. Couldn't be more proud of the work that's happening. We know, of course, though, that those numbers that we anticipate for the fall are going to have dramatic changes over the coming months. There is indications that students are thinking about taking gap years and all kinds of other reasons to perhaps change the course of their undergraduate trajectory or graduate trajectory. But we're working hard to, of course, retain those students moving forward. But that's the reason why we're very thorough in our planning and really wanting to focus on turning over every stone that we possibly can in that regard. I think the kind of motto that I have been thinking about in terms of resiliency is control the things that you can control, and for those things you can't control, plan the heck out of them. And that's what we're going to be doing. And you're going to see a little bit of that today as we really focus on the reopening with campus. So Provost Lengsfeld, thank you for this quick opportunity to talk to everyone. Again, everyone, welcome and thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Jeremy. I'm going to start by running through some slides. We're going to try to move very quickly. The idea here is to show you where we're at. It's not perfect. I would call it a near complete draft, but where we're at is we want to get the feedback on the details and the missing pieces from our community through the Q&A button that you see on the bottom of your screen. This really is about gathering more information, answering some questions, but being a community that's working on this together. The whole idea is for us to get back to where we love, those deep, rich interactions with each other, our students, those things that make each day fun, as fast as we can, but as safe as we can along the way. And we're going to be more conservative from time to time than the governor or the mayor for a lot of different reasons. And I think that'll become clear as we go through this. So I'm very privileged to start. And lost control. The guiding principles informing this presentation, or these guidelines, these frameworks of how to roll back on campus, have been the same principles that really drove us when we were rolling off the campus into remote work. Our ultimate goal is to ensure the safety of everyone in our community, but also make sure they're financially secure while providing the best educational experience that we can for our students. None of that has changed. You might ask, why do we have a phased approach? Well, we need to test some of the things that we have planned. We need to make it gradual, so we're only doing small pockets at first. We then can learn and perfect techniques. We'll gain confidence and feel like we can move to the broader application. So these phases allow us to move from smaller groups to larger groups to bigger groups, and looking at different groups along the way. At every time, we have to be willing to reflect and adjust, maybe even go backwards, as we balance the safety and security of everyone on campus all the way through. So as I said, the objective today is to share the details of the re-entry plan. It's been through a lot of review with a lot of eyes, but it can be made better. And we're inviting your participation today as a broader community who is with this as we roll back. So what happens, right? The mayor's stay-at-home orders cease, and we move into stay safer at home. What does that mean for you? It really means that we're going to go through a phased transition. And we strongly encourage everyone who can stay and work at home to stay working at home until we have all our procedures perfected. The buildings will still be locked, and access will only be given to those that have approval. This will increase in the number of people from those COVID essential personnel to approved researchers who are filing their protocols now, and then a limited number of centralized financial officers who help make the university move. Each phase along the way, we're going to have accommodations, work accommodation processes in place. We know that many of you have suffer from risk factors that make you more susceptible, and it's less desirable for you to want to come to campus. We share that. We share that concern. We share that urgency. We know also that it may not be you may be actually a caretaker for someone else that is in these risk factors. We're aware of that, we're cognizant of it. And we're gonna roll on an accommodation plan that will be effective. Your information is not gonna be shared with your supervisor. It will be kept confidential as it always would, but we will need to work together to make sure that the operations of the university move forward. Students will also have availability to these types of accommodations along the line too. So what am I going to do is I'm going to start to go through slides that show the phased rollback. I'm going to show you each one, talk briefly about each one. I want you to know that each of these guidances that I show you that are on the larger framework for the university actually are fed by unit-specific guidances that have very strong details, and they'll be linked in the document so eventually everybody can look at it. So this is what I mean about the 5 phases. Phase 1 is now at the stay-at-home order, when we went fully remote and we went down to sort of our core personnel. Phase 5 would be as close to normal as possible, fully open, back to the way, close to the way we were before. Each of the phases in between step us along. You can think of them as phase 2 largely being a 20% launch. 20% of employees. That would be its ultimate goal in phase 2. Phase 3 would be a 50% return to work. It'll take a while to get there. Phase 4 would maybe be 100% for employees, but we're starting to bring students back on. When you look at travel and safety, these were some of the things that we deleted first. And so we need to be following guidances. That's what drove us to prohibit international and then domestic travel. But we need to also be thinking about that in each phase as we go along. And those restrictions will begin to lift. We know they will. We're going to maintain through June 30th, of course, essential travel only. We're really hoping that people will not travel for business unless they absolutely have to from now till June 30th. We also will have gatherings or people size mandates that are aligned with the City and County of Denver and the governor. So the one thing that you want to pull off of this slide is that, right, the CDC still have avoid gatherings of 10 or more. And so we're going to still have that in place. As we roll into phase 2, we're going to want to maintain our buildings below 50 people in a single building. You may ask why. It is because if we go above 50, right now, as the orders are written, we would have to have a temperature monitoring station at the entrance of every building. We instead want to do self-monitoring and reporting for a while to build out these capabilities. Because in the end, when we're at 100%, this is what's going to be needed. So we need to build these capabilities now. This will mean sometimes that buildings will have to have staggered shifts and be creative, possibly to ensure that they remain below 50%, but can still get the people in that need to be there. I previously said that the buildings will still be secured by card access only. In phase 2, we'll be looking for card access for only those that have been given authority to come onto campus. Our first thing that we will look to roll out beyond the essential personnel in the next week are research, scholarship, and creative work that is on this campus and have submitted a protocol and have been approved. In addition, there are a number of staff members on this campus that need to come back, begin to process paychecks, receive checks, and do those really essential financial transactions, and they will begin to roll back on with the approval of their supervisors. In this, there won't be visitors yet. If you have a visitor and need a visitor, they're going to be logged and tracked because we're required to do contract tracing in this phase of the reopening. Health requirements. We only want people to come to campus who are symptom-free. And so we have this great app that will be linked that allows people to review the CDC symptoms, and it'll make a decision and help you make a decision on whether you should come to campus or not. It's confidential. This information is not spread to your supervisor. It is not intended to be used in any adverse way. It is required by the state for us to do contact tracing, and it will be held in that manner only to track backwards if we have a positive and need to contact people. You'll notice as you go from phase 1 to phase 2 that we're in phase 1 now. We're going to slowly move into phase 2. It won't be immediate. What you'll notice is things change when you go to phase 3 and 4. We're doing our best guess in phase 3 and 4. We don't know the ordinance yet. They haven't been released. Things change almost daily. We're going to need to keep ourselves vigilant on the changes and communicate them across campus, but by being a little bit conservative, we won't get out in front. Face coverings will be required on campus, of course, in phase 2 in alignment with the governor and the mayor's requests. That will be everywhere except in your private office when no one else is with you. I know this seems difficult to imagine, but we need to follow these, and we will follow these. If you have a visitor on campus, they will also have to have face coverings. Disinfection processes have always been ongoing in the campus, but I think it's important for everybody to understand that we're always doing precautionary disinfection. It's an important thing to be done. We have strong protocols around this, but if we have a positive, there are also clear protocols around what happens to the spaces that that individual was in. First, we assess the last time we were on campus. Right now, the majority of our positives have been with people who hadn't been to campus for more than 14 days. So there was no contamination or disinfection required. But if we were in the case that they were on campus in recent days, we would shut that office or that floor or that building based on our protocols and clean it so that in fact the workspace was disinfected thoroughly. That is different than our normal disinfection processes that would happen every day, and those will be aligned with the requests of the governor and the mayor. Because we have limited staff, and that is felt in custodial and facilities, we're asking that everybody recognize that they're going to need to clean their own office spaces, and that they should do this daily on entry and upon exit. We are working to get cleaning supplies, but we're encouraging people to bring their own if they want. It is important that on the way in, you're cleaning the surfaces that you've had contact with and the door handles you've used in your immediate area. If all of us take these precautions, the entire community will be so much safer. Mail. Right now, we all know that mail is in a different place. And as we move through the different phases, it will ramp up too. But at the moment, in phase 2, we're going to have still the same upon request activities. It is what we can do. Mail services has delivery options, but they also have curbside pickup, and it's quick. There are other areas that would be hit in this, and I want to take a moment to review those, but I think it's important to maybe look and answer a few of the questions that have been placed out at this moment. I think that, let me just go through a few. Somebody has asked, only symptom-free allowed. How will you differentiate between a cough caused by allergies versus a cough caused by COVID? So a cough by allergies, right, I think is different. If you've read the articles by the CDC, they recommend that people who have allergies or asthma, they know their cough. They understand what that is. And the cough that you're talking about for COVID is different. It is hard to describe that. I think we have to use our own judgment, and we have to put our community first. So if you don't know what your cough is, maybe you wait a few days and assess before you come on campus. How will student staff be treated or equally if the rest of the unit is back, but they have to continue to work remote? So when I talk about students and the return of students, I don't think about them as student employees. Employees are a different classification, and if we need them back on campus, we need them back on campus. When I refer to bringing students back on campus at sort of a 20%, 50%, and 100%, I'm really talking about in-class, advising, those types of functions that are clearly related to non-online education. You know that the governor and the mayor have stated that they prefer everybody to still be in an online education mode. They will make a few exceptions, but we have to register the courses at the moment. That's not that they approve them, but they need to know about them. Student workers don't fit into that. They're employees. They're different, and we need to think about them as employees. We need to think about if they're essential and need to be on campus or if they need to be remote. There's some people talking about testing and antibody testing. There isn't many good test systems to look at antibodies at the moment. There are, of course, tests for positive cases of COVID. We have been a test center through the HCC for students, and we are looking actively through the chancellor for partnerships to increase that capacity. We know that testing is an essential part of how we make the campus safe, especially when we go to maybe phase 4 or phase 5. At the moment, we need to rely on contact tracing, reporting of symptoms, and smaller groups, physical distancing, making sure that we're complying with the personal protective equipment decree that the governor has been using. So until those really robust testing systems come online, we have to use some of the things that we've been using to this point. They will become more and more important as they go on. I might want to turn it over to Jaren for a moment to ask this one question. It's really talking about our facilities and custodial staff. How are they doing? And have they been exposed? And what are we doing to help them? Jaren?
Yeah, excuse excuse me, absolutely. So early on, even in March, facilities, HRIC, and leadership worked very closely together to make sure that our custodial staff and essential personnel were taken care of and reviewed under a special light, knowing that they're the ones who, you know, keep the campus clean and would have potential opportunity for further exposure. One thing that we made sure of was that we were in compliance 100% with the CDC, Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment, and all the requirements around that. And we've communicated that that we will not put anyone in any unnecessary risk, and that every individual has the required equipment based on where we are in this crisis. We've also made big attempts as far as the pay practices and recognizing that although, you know, there may be folks with vulnerable or considered vulnerable individuals with compromised immune systems that may not be able to work, that they were taken care of if they were to stay home or even have dependent care concerns. So it's a unique work group because of the collective bargaining agreement that they're under. So we worked very, very closely with their union and their national union to make sure that we were following all protocols, provisions of the contract, and taking care of them. We received a lot of people, and I'm glad this question came up, a lot of people reaching out asking, how are we taking care of the custodial staff, and people offering to assist and recognize or acknowledge all the efforts that have happened. So that's been great, and the union, the institutional union, has been very appreciative and acknowledging how we've been taking care of them so far.
Leslie, can you jump in and answer some questions around the slides, the recording, as well as supplies?
Let me take, yeah, thank you, Corinne. A lot of the questions that I'm reviewing on the Q&A are asking if we will do a recording. It is being recorded right now, and we will make the slide deck available. So that's probably half the questions that have queued up so far. As far as the supplies are concerned, we do have a limited amount of supplies available right now. Primarily, those are wipes that we're going to make available to the units. But again, in the slow return to the campus, that is measured. There is a small amount of supply available, and that will have to increase as we go along. And of course, as you know, because you watch the news, there is a supply chain interruption in some of the securing of these supplies, including hand sanitizer and that. But we are doing the best that we can to make all of that available, and we'll certainly make sure that those that are on campus have these supplies.
I see some questions around sort of details, and these are great details that you're providing. Like, what are we going to do about classrooms and the cleaning of classrooms, which is not the same as a person's office? Are we going to have temperature measurements of students before they enter the class? These are great questions, and the details that we're talking about that we want to pull out of everybody. I'm just going to give you some quick thoughts. First, the fall task force is going to have to think a lot about what we do in the fall when we have lots of students on campus. But I think what we need to think about is now, right? In the summer, if we have a few classes, what are we going to do? How is this going to work? We have bought a lot of thermometers, infrared, in order to do that if we want. But self-reporting can be and has been shown very effective and more effective than thermometers in some other industries. And so we have ongoing conversations with those industries to figure out the details of what will be the best practice when we go to much larger numbers of people on campus. We've bought the supplies and we can do them, and we've built out self-monitoring apps because it's best to have both things going to be ready for what we want to do. Also, we don't exactly know how the ordinance will change, and even though we may want to do one thing, we may be required to do another. Cleaning is always something that's top of mind and something that we will have to look into in classes as we think about schedule of classes, not only the classes in which the students actually reside in order to get physical distancing, but also the times of the day and if there's breaks between classes that allow cleaning between classes. These are all questions that have to be fully detailed out, but we're not letting students or classes back on campus until the summer, and really not until June or July. That may not happen in June or July because of the ordinances, but that we won't be ready for that, and we have time. Okay. What I'm going to do is we're going to copy down all these questions that we can't get to, and we are going to create a complement to this slide deck where we try to theme them up and reply to them. So as we go through them, there are just so many. It's wonderful. We have 42 questions at this point. This is perfect. This was the type of information that we wanted. I want to move back to the rest of our slideshow for a little bit, and then we'll have more time for questions at the end. I think some of the answers to the questions are inside the rest of the slide deck. Why is it not do this? Yep. So some of the specialty places that you might think of that would have their own protocols would be the Health and Counseling Center. They had moved to telehealth, but they've had in-person interactions with people throughout in order to serve our student community. We'll largely leave this in place for phase 2. There isn't a need to really open it up beyond then. If you think about research, research has a very strong set of protocols that were sent out to them, I think 2 days ago. Research, scholarship, and creative work PIs are required to submit a protocol on how they will keep their labs and themselves safe, how they will clean, how they'll fulfill the regulations and the orders. But many of the things that I think people need to know is that not all functions of research will roll up immediately. So we'll begin to allow human subjects research, but those that can be physical distanced. Once we feel comfortable, we'll begin to examine the restrictions on human subjects with contact, and then human subjects that may be taking saliva or blood. Off-campus research can be allowed if it's time sensitive and the site meets our criteria. So as we go through these phases, we will keep increasing the types of things that can happen, but we're going to go slowly, even each phase. The library. I know that a lot of us need the library. There's lots of students and faculty that need to retrieve books. We're beginning to have a very nice rollback plan for the library and how they'll receive those and how they'll work in this virtual world. The AAC is not ready for open. It's ready for staff, maybe, but it's not ready to be open for its normal business. And so we need to keep going slowly, and as we gain confidence, it's an open work area. We need to gain confidence in open workspaces, not confined ones. Athletics is its own wonderful yet complex system. The orders from the mayor and the governor is the gym fitness center is not allowed to be open yet. We anticipate that'll change and there'll be ordinances and we'll adjust. We also know that the NCAA has closed athletics at least through May 30th, and we'll continue to get guidances from them. Events on campus, because the CDC is still enforcing 10 or below, aren't going to happen at this moment. But maybe in later phases, we'll be able to ramp those up. Summer conferencing, parking, IT, these are all specific places. IT is really important. And they go into buildings all the time. They're not in one place. So they're fully staffed and they always have been. They have been part of our essential core. And they will continue to do the work that they need to do. But they will be moving in and out of buildings and we'll have to build protocols for them. Student housing. The residents are difficult, and I would say that we're still really undecided on how we're going to deal with this. We have 200 students still on campus. They're living with us. They're following social distancing. We haven't had a positive. It has been a wonderful experience. But as we think about rolling the campus back, this is an essential part of our community and our celebration and who we are. We have a lot of work left to do in this area. Clee and others are working hard to get this right, and I'm confident that we will. We have little schools with little children on this campus, Fisher and Ricks. We are going to step boldly into helping children of essential frontline workers in this state through the Fisher. We're going to learn a lot. There's not going to be a lot of kids in there. We're going to take it really slow. There's going to be a lot of temperature monitoring. There's going to be a lot of controls. But as we learn through that, we will begin to understand how we can do our own classrooms later. Clinics. These are services provided to our community and our mission through public good. They stood up overnight an entire telehealth system, and it was amazing to watch them and IT work together and do it. They need to roll back some people to actually make the clinics functional. We'll begin to prioritize this and figure out how to do it. They're developing protocols for the clinics to understand. They will have to abide by the no more than 50 people, social distancing, physical distancing, and the protective equipment. But we will begin to think about this in the same way that we're thinking about the rest, 20%, 50%, 100%. Well, I think we still have lots of time for questions, and I'm hoping that everybody will engage us in this. Again, we will take all the questions that we don't get time to answer and really begin to distill them so everybody can have their questions answered over time. There are some questions regarding funding and incentives for faculty and staff, also around reconfiguration of space. I think I would like to ask Leslie to talk about some of those things that we have talked about in regards to reconfiguration.
Sorry, I need to get off mute. I'm sorry, Corinne, can you repeat the last part of that, please? I was answering a question on the queue.
Could you answer one of the questions is, will there be funds to improve and reconfigure workspaces so that we can meet the regulations? And what are we thinking about for incentives for faculty and staff that may have to do work for educational redesign?
Okay, Rachel Stonecipher in our facilities planning area is responsible now for reviewing all of the needs for people on campus, and that will include those places where people meet the public, for instance, the bursar's office, the library, our food service areas. Parking is another good example, but we're going through a process of reviewing what the needs are. Hopefully they will be pretty consistent across the campus and not different from place to place, but that the intent is to make sure that both our community and the visitors to campus are well cared for. And that includes plexiglass barriers in some places.
Thank you, Leslie. There's lots of people asking about the teaching modality for the fall. We're really committed to face-to-face, but we understand that we probably will have classes that need to be online. My suspicion is that very large classes will be difficult for us to accommodate the social distancing requirements. And we know that there will be faculty who want to do some really exciting and creative activities. This is what the Fall Task Force is really about. These are leaders, creative thinkers on campus who are going to really help us think through how we'll do those different modalities, what sort of equipment we need for that, what types of training would we need for that, what are the classes that should be directed towards. All those things, I believe, are recommendations that will come out of the Fall Task Force. Chancellor, would you like to answer any of that question?
Mute.
Jeremy, you're muted. I'm sorry.
Thank you. Absolutely. I mean, the fact that we see so much of the media now talk about various different solutions that are being proposed out there, from different academic calendar approaches to a hybrid of online and face-to-face, to how we start the fall quarter or the fall semester, depending if you're in the law school. When do we start? Do we start earlier? Do we start later in order to avoid, other kinds of increases in the virus, for example. So all of these questions have to be posed, and that fall logistics committee is already getting underway. It has a lot of work to do between now and May 27th, when I've asked them to give at least an initial outline of some of the ideas. And the reason why I wanted to give that date is so that we could start assuring the students and the parents that our planning is ongoing, but this is what we're currently thinking of. We have set and continue to set July 15th as the date by which we make final preparations and final decisions around that fall academic unit.
Thank you, Chancellor. Jaren, could you talk a little bit about, there is a question in here that says, how is DU thinking about how we strike a balance between meeting business needs for the departments and parents' needs who care for children whose school is out and there will probably not be many summer camps available?
Absolutely. So we would look at, as we've operated over these last couple months remotely, you would take a look at how efficient folks have been working, and we've been able to do really well. We've been trying to approach this over these last couple of months from two angles: informing employees to look at the nature of the work that they provide while working remotely, and seeing how can they maybe stagger their day or the hours in order to still be available if there's core hours that the job requires for availability. But if not, if it's production based, then you may be able to stagger your hours in order to get the work done while still being able to tend to the children or your dependents that you're caring for at home. And then on the other side, working with managers of the individuals to support the expectations and modifying the schedules so those needs can be met. There's a lot of us that are in this boat trying to balance what's the day-to-day while also tending to children and helping with online courses or school or not having summer camps or daycares to take care of them. But if you have questions around that or support, please reach out to your HR partners because they can walk you through how that looks, and that's for the employees and the managers. And we'll have some best practices to share as we've looked at how we've done this over these last couple months.
Thank you, Jaren. Just to answer a few quick questions that I think are completely legitimate and probably we all think about when we go to the grocery store is, what are we going to do when employees or students aren't meeting the mask requirements that have been placed on us by the state and the city, but also the requirements that we are placing on our community? We will be adapting with the help of CLE some of the honor code to make sure that students are abiding by these and that there are consequences. And we will be using supervisors to have gentle but informative conversations about, if you're not willing to wear a mask, then maybe you shouldn't be on campus and you should be working remote. We will be putting up signs all over campus to remind people, because I think the thing that catches me the most is I walk outside to go for a walk and realize, oh, I left my mask in my office. These are the things that we're going to have to be show empathy for, and recognize that some of us will make mistakes, and gentle reminders will be the things that will help us move forward. There's another question in the chat or in the Q&A that really talk about, do you have a sense of how many people in our community have the virus, and what does that mean about returning to work? So one of the things that we've done all the way along is to really look at the number of cases, both in the country, around the world, in the state, and on our campus. And we've built our protocols and our reactions for how we went to work remote based on what we were seeing. And I think that our history of performance probably talks most strongly about what our performance will be in the future. So as cases began to develop in the state and we were monitoring them, we recognized that what do we have and what don't we have to deal with that situation? we didn't have many positives, maybe one, before we actually announced that we wanted to work remote and we were strongly encouraging everybody to work remote. That happened to be very close to March 10th. What we found out in hindsight is it turned out that most of the cases that we would later learn out happened right before that date, the 9th. And so we had really cut down the spread of the disease on our campus by being a very proactive partner and closing and doing the things we needed to do as a campus many days before the city and many days before the governor. So as we roll back to campus, I will guarantee that we will be slower to open ourselves up than the city, and we'll be slower to open ourselves up as the governor, because we learned that when we were proactive and we were conservative, we protected our community better. We also have clear protocols. If there is a cluster of cases, we close a building. So maybe the whole campus doesn't close, but a building will close. And there's thresholds for 72 hours, 14 days, and 30 days. We've got all these set based on what the CDC is telling us and the Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment. And we plan to use them. They have served us very well to this point. It has really kept our community safe, and there is no reason that we would ever not follow those protocols that have served us the best. All right, I'm gonna look through a little bit the questions. Leslie or Jaron, if you saw one in there that you wanted to answer, please chime in.
This is Leslie. I think the ones that I'm seeing more and more are the questions about moving from phase to phase. And let me reiterate what Corrine said is, you know, we don't have a calendar for moving from one phase to the other. And we're dependent on city and state guidance for that, but we're also aware of infection rates. And someone asked a question in the Q&A, is it possible that we move back at some point? And certainly that is possible. The intent here, of course, is to flatten the curve, and we're doing everything, our part of what we can to do that, but we don't have timing for these, and that's a lot of the questions right now.
Go ahead, Jaron.
Yes, and I see some questions around going back to the accommodations for vulnerable individuals and what's the process there. So one question that was raised was, when will the information be linked on the website and available for folks? We actually are just tweaking the little bit of what the process is and the training that we put together, just with a couple other nuances that came from based on the order and legal's interpretation. As soon as we get those, they will be up on the website ready to go. The other question that came up was around what would be the documentation required for proof, and the concern about if those are physician or provider notes, the concern about the time that it takes to get that from your provider. So yes, for anything outside of the 65 and older designation, we can verify that in our systems, of course, but anything else around health conditions would come from a doctor's note or provider's note. I'd suggest if you're needing those to start that process sooner than later, just to put that in the queue. If it's for a family member within your household that you're caring for, the same thing, a provider's note. We can probably verify most likely, you know, the residents via information in Banner. But the other piece is around the caretaker. What we said is we really want to err on the side of, you know, being considerate and not overly intrusive. You know, err on the side of compassion for proof of caregiver status, and it won't be, you know, a drawn out level of documentation. You just need to state it. But again, through that process with the HR partner and the ADA coordinator, we can help you guide through that.
I want to make sure that everybody knows that phase 2 doesn't actually fully launch on Monday, that we will gradually move into phase 2, slowly stepping. We need to make sure we have the resources, the employees, the cleaning supplies, the protective equipment to make this work, right? It's really important that everybody understand that. I also think that there is really important that people understand that we have assigned building managers who are going to help us navigate the 50 people per building. I understand that there will be, this will be difficult in the beginning, but we will make it through. And there are some buildings, teeny tiny ones, that of course cannot have 50 people in it, right? And so we will need to be thoughtful and logical in what we do. I see a lot of questions around events, the Newman Center. I want to be clear, events right now are just not allowed by any of the ordinances. There are many places in the country that are really thinking about canceling their performing arts events all the way through January. We haven't made that decision, but we have looked at what ones we will cancel out into the months where we think we might feel safer. And we're building out those approaches with the colleagues on campus who operate and are the best experts to give us. I want to make sure that everybody knows that as you walk away from this discussion, I am absolutely confident you will have additional questions. This was an opportunity for us to share what we're doing. It is not complete. We welcome your comments and your suggestions. If you would send them to the provost@du.edu before Friday at 8 a.m., we will be madly changing, updating, and integrating all of these into our documents to make it the best rollback possible. I also think that everybody needs to recognize there's no calendar on this thing. And in fact, in some of these phases, we may have to change dramatically what we thought would be our best guess of how it would proceed because of infection rate inside Colorado, or because of new rules from the governor, the mayor, or the CDC. These are simply our best guess based on the information we have to date. This will always have to be updated, and we're going to always have to be communicating it with the best integrity and the clarity that we can have. I get that this is ambiguous, and when we think about unknowns, it is scary. But I think when we think about what we're doing, we have to recognize we're just trying to be a community, a family in a different way. We don't have all the answers, but we're thinking about each other first and thinking about how we're going to get to our ultimate goal, which is really an exceptional community who enjoys every day of their work, and they inspire and lead students to the next phase of their career. These are the things that we're striving for, and we can do it in a number of different ways. But it's going to take all of us caring for each other and for our safety and our security. I'd like to end by giving the Chancellor an opportunity to round out the comments.
Thank you. Thank you, Corinne. And thank you all for the great questions. I have been watching them fly through the chat box and in the Q&A there. And I know that the team is working really diligently to try to answer as many of those as possible. A couple of them that I did see was, will there be future town hall meetings to discuss the changes and the next phase that we might be in? I think there's a strong commitment by all of us who are panelists and those of us who are in the audience that we need to have these town hall meetings to keep us all informed about all kinds of decisions that are happening and need to happen. So my commitment to all of you, as well as the vice chancellors that are on the panel here, is to, yes, to make that commitment that we will have town hall meetings and good communication about what the various different phases of the rollbacks will be and when they will occur on that. There was also a question about the timing of the commencement announcement. That is probably the next big decision to come out. I have committed that we would make that decision no later than May 15th. Claire Brownell, who runs and oversees the university commencement proceedings, has been working diligently, not only with the commencement committee, but an expanded version of the commencement committee and has had a number of focus groups with students. And it's been fascinating to hear what's important to them. And the takeaways are that they really want to have a face-to-face commencement at some point in time. They really want to share it with their loved ones, their parents, their family members, and so forth. And that just strikes to the very heart of our community, to the heart of what DU is about. So the announcement will be coming forward as soon as we are working through more of those details shortly on that. And then I think there's some really good comments in the Q&A about masks. I certainly want to see the university, if it's a requirement for masks, that the university provide those as well, because I keep saying that repeatedly over that. That will take resources, but we're asking additional commitment of our employees to be on campus in that way, and so it is just logical that we would provide those resources in that. And now I know I'm going to get a nasty email from my CFO on that and my budget officer. But that's what's working with the chancellor is all about there. Anyway, I'll just close by simply saying thank you all. We will have more of these communications coming forward, and we'll make sure that you keep adequately informed about this rollback. And thank you so much for your commitment, for the work that you're doing for the university and your interest in this issue.
So just as we close, I would like to say thank you to everybody who's kept this campus alive, maybe not physically, but virtually. The IT professionals on this campus have done an amazing job and have worked beyond belief. Housing has cared for our students that have had to stay when they were safer here than back at home. The faculty who lifted more than 2,000 classes in 2 weeks, we can't say enough about you. The staff that actually was the glue that kept us together has been amazing. Thank you to the custodial, the safety, and the Sodexo workers who have served us at almost full capacity throughout the entire situation. Each of us have lived this experience in a very different way. We've lived the same thing, but we've lived it in a different way. Some of us had to be here on the front line. Some of us had to be home, juggling work and taking care of our kids. Some of us had to care for people who were sick. Some of us were touched by death. Some of us had living conditions that were not the best. And so we've done a great job. And we all just need to remember that as we move forward, we stand as a community. Thank you so much. This webinar is now closed. Thank you.